welcome to WRPB and WRPB Studios. So the gentleman sitting next to me keeps our world at least comfortable. And if you live in Florida, you really can appreciate the guy next to me. And this is Don with Cooling with Connelly's.
Correct.
Okay. Air conditioning.
Air conditioning.
Why? Why'd you get into that?
I like fixing things with my hands, and it's a very rewarding job once you're done. You show up to somebody's house, it's 90 degrees in there.
I've been there.
Yeah, people are going crazy, and for you to, it's an accomplishment once that job is completed and they're back up and running, and it's a sense of accomplishment for me.
How long you been around the industry?
About 14 years.
Okay, so I can tell you this. We all live in Florida, and it's not if something happens to your air conditioner, it's when.
For sure.
And the when is usually after 6 o'clock at night or on the weekends.
4th of July weekend, right?
Okay, right. It's, I came from filming something, got home, and it was 86 degrees in my house.
Mm-hmm.
And this was when the outside temperature was 100 degrees.
Of course.
And it was miserable.
Right.
I felt bad for the cats. They have fur coats. Okay. And it was like, how does one deal with it? Now, I'm lucky. My wife and I came, and we camped out here.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice.
And you're in the studio, and it's nice and cool.
Right. It's
Right?
definitely colder here. Yeah.
Yeah. Most people say, oh my God, it's warm in the studio. But we don't change the temperature. So over the weekend, it gets nice and cool in here.
Yeah.
But when you're filming one after the other, it gets a little warmer because of the lights.
Of course, all the equipment running.
So what I learned, and I just learned it, I'm 67 and I just learned it, that when you have an intake, I guess that's what I'll call it,
Okay. Yep.
and
Return. Yeah.
and the one that blows air out,
Would be your supply.
they can't be next to one another.
Not directly next to each other.
Because it'll just come out and suck it back in.
Right
Is
back
that it?
in. Yeah. You'll be super cool in the air.
Right. I mean, I was like, so when I moved into the space, there was in the studio, this was 2 rooms,
Okay.
and we broke it up. But we had, where the air comes out of, the vent was in the closet
Gotcha.
because their electronics was in the closet.
Oh, yes. Keeping the IT rack cool.
Right.
Yeah.
So we were sweating like anything here.
I bet.
So the landlord brings the air conditioner guy, and he pulls it out and puts the vents basically where they're supposed to be, but the return was right next to the other one. Problem 1. Problem 2 is you just spent all this money for a new air. The landlord spent all this money for a new AC, and the air conditioner guy leaves the old thermostat with the little thing on top to slide it back
Oh,
and
yeah. The
forth.
Mercury ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are, you don't see those anymore, do you?
If I'm going to an old system, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
they're
but
still
you
there.
you never sell a system with those.
No. Every time we put a new system in, swap out the thermostat as well.
And is it almost always digital?
Oh, 100%. We have to be code compliance now.
Really?
They have to have a program on it per days of the week to be code compliance.
So when I told the landlord what the air conditioning guy did, I said, look, I have an air conditioning guy that does a show here back then, and he came in and gave me an estimate to fix the other things that were wrong, and I got it done. He put in a thermostat that is Wi-Fi compatible.
Mm-hmm.
And he showed me how to use it, and then, of course, inevitably, something went wrong, and it got disconnected from the system,
Right.
and I never put it back on the system. So I just leave the thermostat where it is. So the question that most people seem to ask is, I like it to be 75 degrees in my house.
Mm-hmm.
When I leave to go to work, should I raise it up, or should I just leave it go straight through?
Yeah, the answer for that one, I would say don't go above 78, right? I know FP&L has their thing where they want you at, 82 to 85 when you leave the house. For me, I just believe, and this is my opinion, right? Not, I believe that going up above 78 has too much moisture content in the house and makes the AC work a lot harder to bring it back down to that 75, right? So my house, I run My wife and kids are home during the day, but I run 76 during the day and then 72 at night, and that's what I keep it on unless I'm going out of town.
It's interesting. So we keep it at 75 at home
Okay.
during the day and 72 at night.
Yeah, it's
72.
comfortable.
So this is the question that my wife and I keep asking. I go into the bedroom and I'm really cold.
Mm-hmm.
And sometime in the middle of the night, I kick the blankets off.
Get
But-
too hot.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I don't understand why that would be, because there's no sun out anymore.
Right.
Why does it not? And it's holding the temperature, I guess. I'm not getting out of bed to look. I can tell you that right now. I can tell you that right now. That disturbs my wife, the cats.
Right, that's what the Wi-Fi is for. The Wi-Fi thermostat.
I don't have at home. I don't have Wi-Fi thermostat. I'm too cheap. I'm too poor.
Gotcha.
But and
That's
I
typical.
is it?
That's typical for a house that, one, doesn't have a return in the bedroom, or two, if it doesn't have a return and you're closing the door, it's very typical that room then becomes stagnant, right? The new Florida building code is that every bedroom must have a return in it. And the reason I see it as a good thing, the reason is to equalize the temperature throughout the house so that all the heat is pulling from each bedroom and that house is staying at a more even temperature. If I were to close this door off with no return in here and just keep pumping cold air with all the equipment, the room would become very stagnant, right? Because there's no way for me to circulate that air through the air conditioner, right? We're just dumping air in here and it's not removing any heat whatsoever because there's no way for it to get out and actually get back to that indoor coil and dehumidify and remove the heat from that air.
You know, it's interesting because now I want to run home and look at my room.
Yeah,
Because after I sold my home and I was ready to go buy a house, I had the strokes.
gotcha.
So I own a mobile home in Spanish Lakes.
Okay,
And we moved, it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom. We moved
Yeah.
there until I was a year out of surgery, which
gotcha.
is now, and now we're looking for another house. But yes, we closed the door. But the way the mobile homes are made, even though it's a newer one, I mean, it's 206, is that above the door is a vent.
A pass-through vent.
Yeah,
Yep.
pass-through vent.
Yep.
So would that be the reason that they wouldn't have to put a return in the bedroom?
That's a gray area. Yes, that does pass the code, but how far away is the intake from that door? Yes, it's relieving the pressure in that room, but how much are you really circulating that air through the room, right? All you're doing is essentially relieving the pressure, not actually pulling that heat back to the AC.
Okay, so
And that's a tough one in the mobile home aspect of it, because I don't know, would imagine your ductwork's in maybe up in the little bit of attic that you have, or underneath, right? Most of the time they're underneath, then you have to cut through. Yeah, if they're up in the ceiling, I mean, you're. I just went to one the other day where only there's one bedroom that has no air, and I said, look, there's nothing I could really do. We have to cut open the ceilings and see where the blockage is. I mean, I could put the camera in there, but it's only going to go so far, you know, and you're all the way on the other side of the mobile home itself. So that's a tough one.
well, what's interesting is I have my wife's a chocolatier, makes high-end chocolate.
Oh, nice.
So we have one room, even though the temperature stays the same, that room is always ice cold.
Gotta have it cold.
That room's just ice cold.
You gotta keep the chocolates cold.
Yeah. The room next to it, which is a teeny little room,
Uh-huh.
is 8 million degrees.
Gotcha.
Okay? Now that room faces, let me think, faces south. The
Okay.
window in that room faces, the sliding glass doors face south,
Okay.
and I have a window that faces west.
Gotcha.
Is like
It's
a
gonna-
window that faces south gonna pull a lot of heat into that room?
The west facing one, or, you know.
That's just a little window.
Yeah. Again, insulation on it. I mean, all that plays a factor. How old those windows are, how much heat is coming in, heat gain from it. You know, all that plays a factor in if that is actually sized properly in that room.
Okay, so somebody has a home, mobile home, I don't care what kind of home. What's the most important thing to do to keep that system running properly?
Have it maintained. Well, at least I like twice a year, but at minimum once a year. And not just not just have somebody go there and clean out the drain line. Yes, drain line is very imperative to have cleaned. Like, that is utmost importance. That has a lot, I hate to say it, but that's like bread and butter, right? Drain lines, drain lines. Everybody has drain line issues with the new aluminum coils that we have. But proper maintenance, where you're cleaning the outdoor condenser coil, you're cleaning the indoor coil, you're checking all the electrical components, checking the capacitors, the contactors, making sure that the temperature differential is proper. Getting disinfectant through that air handler, making sure everything's cleaned properly, really is key to longevity of the equipment.
What about a filter?
Filter, every house, mobile home, every envelope is different. I have some customers that get 6 months out of a filter. I have some customers that get 2 to 3 weeks out of a filter.
Depending on how many animals you have.
And again, it's the envelope of the house, how sealed that house is, how much dust infiltration is coming in. Your hi hats allow dust to come in. All kinds of jealousy windows. Everything plays a factor in it. But as soon as it changes colors, it goes from bright white, like a piece of paper you just got out, to gray color. It's time to change. Time to change.
When you sign somebody up for a yearly contract or twice a year,
Correct.
what do you do? You do the drain line, of course.
Of course.
What else?
It's $220 for twice a year visits. Every 6 months we come out and we go through it top to bottom, right? Take off the indoor panels. There's a drain pan that's inside of there. Make sure that is clean. We run chemicals through the drain line. We disinfect the indoor coil, the indoor blower. We wipe down the inside of the cabinet. I go back after some people, and sometimes the inside, even the wires that go down, get bio growth on them if they haven't
Really?
been cleaned. Yeah, I have tons of pictures of bio growth all over the place. But wiping down the wires is even imperative, right? Because if you have it on the wires, it's going to grow somewhere else. And to help prevent it, UV lights and air purification systems definitely help. It's not like a smoke and mirrors thing. It definitely helps. But back to the maintenance, disinfect everything on the inside, clean out the drain lines, use chemicals on the drain lines, wipe everything down, make sure all your high and low voltage connections are clean, check out all the electrical, make sure the heaters are working inside of there as well. I know it sounds funny when we only use them once or twice a year, but still, when it's that time and you want it to kick on, you want to make sure that's working. Going to the outside unit, hosing down that outside condenser, checking the refrigerant levels, checking your high voltage again, your low voltage contactor, making sure everything is cleaned up outside as well.
Okay, so I guess I had an issue here, and I called an air conditioner guy that I knew, and he said, before I come out and charge you money, he said, for me to pour bleach down that, I guess, the drain.
Mm-hmm.
And ironically enough, that worked.
Okay.
Okay, now
Bleach and vinegar.
a mixture.
No, don't mix it. No, I'm not
I wouldn't think
I'm not
so.
the chemist, but
I don't
that's
think
what
that would
everybody
be a good
says.
thing. No,
Everybody says one or the other.
but I remember my mom's house. My mom had a condo, and I remember having to go out and buying a little vacuum and going back there
For sure.
and suck it out, and then I'd open it up and I'd look at the lizards and the
Right.
snakes, and what accumulates in there is unbelievable.
Yeah, a lot of growth, that's for sure.
Yeah,
A
so
lot of growth.
that's so important. And if you don't want to do it, that's the reason to use it. First of all, you know how I feel about using a professional. If you don't use a professional, in the long run, it's going to cost you 5 times more in money
For sure.
and 10 times more in frustration. And there's nothing more frustrating than coming home on a weekend and your house is 89 degrees.
It's horrible.
When the weather outside is 100, 100 and 400.
It's horrible.
It's ridiculous. Who's your clientele?
Residential, light commercial. But back to that maintenance thing, another key thing I tell my customers, my clients, if you can access it and if you can get to it, every time you change out your filter, a gallon of water. Everybody says, oh, a cup of bleach, a cup of vinegar. That's okay, but it's just a little bit, right? We want to get a full column of water going through that drain line to push any of that sediment down the line. So that's definitely, if you can get to it every time you change your filter, a gallon of water. That way we can avoid headaches in between your maintenances.
It's an air conditioner. It's going to give you headaches when you don't, when the least expected.
Right.
Okay, I mean, and the situation here is when I had the air conditioner done, when the landlord had the air conditioner done, it was in the ceiling,
Of course.
and he took it out of the ceiling
Right.
and moved it into the back room.
That's great.
So I lost an office, but
Well.
it's where it has to be.
You don't have water dripping down on your
No,
head, right?
but the draining, it I guess it goes into this little container thing,
Okay.
and then it has a switch in it,
Yep.
and it pumps it through this little tube. And,
Condensate pump.
and
Yeah.
then outside.
For
So
sure.
it's like, it could flood. I don't know. But, I mean, that is what it is.
They
But
have
it,
safety switches on them too, so.
oh, the little bobber thing that goes in? Yeah.
Well, there's another switch in there that if the water gets up to a certain point, it'll shut the AC down if it's wired properly.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, I should check that.
Another safety.
Because you said properly, and that's
Just making sure it's done
properly
properly.
is never really a good thing.
Right.
Okay, we're getting to the top of our time. How do people contact you? You have a phone number?
Phone numbers 561-932-8036. We recently just updated our website. We have a live chat. You can go on there, fill out your information. I can contact you after that. You can send me an email, donc@coolingwithconnellys.com. We're on Google, Facebook.
What area do you cover?
Martin to Sebastian, kind of, Indian River County, St. Lucie County, and Martin County.
You gotta cover Martin County because there's no better county than Martin County.
Yeah.
I say it all the time. People don't understand. You live in St. Lucie County, you work in St. Lucie County, but you're always talking about Martin County. But I do really well in Martin County.
Yeah.
60% of our business is out of Martin County.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's
So-
not a bad place at all.
I love Martin County.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna look for a house in Jensen. I have the
Nice.
best landlord in the world, so I can't leave here. But everybody, like I said, use a professional. You're gonna save yourself a ton of aggravation if you'd use a professional. Don, thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate the time.
Everybody have a great day. We'll be right back.